Welcome to another conversation in People in Fundraising. This podcast features interviews with nonprofit professionals who discuss their career journeys, lessons learned, and enthusiasm for working in fundraising. And here is your host, the founder of People in Fundraising, Tim Wilson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, June 12th, 2026, and welcome to another episode in the weekly social impact podcast, People in Fundraising. I am very excited and honored to welcome today's guest, Megan Tice, to People in Fundraising. We've gotten connected over the years through Apra Rocky Mountains, a prospect development chapter, and it's great to reconnect with you, Megan. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Like Tim said, I'm Megan Tice. I am the Senior Manager of Revenue Strategy at Make-A-Wish America. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm also the treasurer of the Apra Rocky Mountain Board here, local to Colorado and Wyoming.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I'm excited to hear, obviously, specifically about your current role with Make-A-Wish and the chief revenue responsibilities. Before we get to that part of the episode, each conversation starts with the guest giving a brief kind of journey of how they entered the nonprofit world and how they got to where they are today. So I'd love to hear your story, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have listened to your podcast and I've really been moved by some of the really inspirational stories from your interviewees. And I wish I had like a really inspirational, moving story. But in all honesty, and I think like a lot of our colleagues, I stumbled into the fundraising profession. But I'm so
Yes.
grateful that I did because it's definitely where I'm meant to be. But I attended the University of Oregon. I studied economics, and I think one of the most impactful parts of my college experience was my student employee job. I
Mm,
worked, I did program support for the continuing education program, and that's really the program for community members and mostly retirees who wanted to stay involved with the university community, take courses because they were genuinely interested in the content
mhm.
or they wanted to stay connected.
Yeah.
And I really loved that job and I loved
Mhm.
being a part of the university system in that way. So when I was graduating, I was looking for jobs through the University of Oregon, and I just looked for any job that had analyst or researcher in the title because
Oh,
that's what I was looking for with an economics degree. And
sure.
as you can imagine, I found a prospect management analyst role in the University of Oregon's advancement department. I had zero idea what fundraising was. I knew
Sure.
people donated to the university. I knew I had a scholarship that was a donation, but
Mm,
I really did not know the complexity of the fundraising system, the real machine that goes behind the advancement department.
yes.
But I'm lucky that my team that interviewed me, even though I was definitely underqualified for the role, decided they wanted to invest in me, and they said they recognized that I had genuine curiosity for the position, that I had
Mm,
done my research, and that they thought that I could really grow in the role. So I'm super lucky that they saw that in me.
yes.
And it ended up being such a great fit. I learned so much in that position. And from there, I built relationships. I found mentors and colleagues. I
Mm,
learned about APRA. And I found opportunities throughout my career that I didn't know were even possible when I found that initial job. So I definitely didn't intentionally set out to be in fundraising, but I am very grateful that I did because I think it's the perfect fit for me.
that's wonderful. Thank you. And Megan, I was struck by a description you gave earlier in that part of your conversation, and you mentioned the machine behind advancement. And I
Yeah,
think a lot, if not every guest, can relate to that. We have had some familiarity with, you know, when we're younger,
absolutely.
in college or even earlier, like getting a mailer or annual fund for your university. But yeah, you're so right. The machine behind the advancement is
Yep,
really mystifying. It's kind of like Wizard of Oz in
it
a way.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are areas that I didn't even know were like full departments dedicated to different parts of fundraising that I didn't know existed at that time.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have, and this is totally on the spot, but do you have maybe an early moment where you felt, because you've referenced a couple times just now that this is the right sector, the right field for you. Were there any moments or people that kind of helped ingrain that sense in you?
I think that I think after, training and onboarding, understanding our system, one of the first success stories for me was an early part of my role was really helping fundraisers keep their data clean, like
Mm.
help them understand their portfolio, sit down with them and put together prospect plan strategies. And that kind of work can maybe be a little monotonous,
Sure.
but I think I had a fundraiser have like a successor close a gift,
Mm.
and in their like team meeting that I was a part of, they were like, Megan, thank you so much for helping like get all this data together. That was an instrumental part of me closing this big, exciting gift. And I think
Oh,
that really struck me that while I'm so behind the scenes, I can really still make a huge impact.
absolutely. I love that anecdote. Thank you.
Yeah.
So from there, with your alma mater, you have gone on an incredible journey with various shops. Um, so higher education, healthcare, children and family services sectors, to now where you are at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And for me, I spent the first 17 years of my career at one shop in private higher education. I'm always struck by people like you that have navigated successfully moving from employers, but also broadening your expertise by getting out of one particular sector in advancement. So again, higher education and healthcare and now Make-A-Wish. My question for you is, have you deliberately sought those pivots? Have some of them been more circumstantial, right time, and it gets on your radar? Anything like that?
Yeah, again, I'd love to say I had some master plan to go and learn about all the different industry, nonprofit sectors, but I think like you said, it has really been a right place, right time moment. And I have to give myself credit. I am someone that really likes to say yes to
Hmm.
opportunities and things that challenge me. I think that's something that I have tried really hard to do through my
Mhm.
career.
Yeah.
And I had two university jobs, one at the University of Oregon, and then I was a prospect development liaison at the University of Colorado. And I got to see how two really different university systems operated. And
Oh.
within that industry, there were huge differences. And I learned a lot from each opportunity.
Mhm.
But the specific jump to healthcare was even less intentional. I actually had a recruiter reach out to me. She had
Oh.
heard my name through the grapevine somehow. She found me on LinkedIn and she told me about a 6-month contract role with St. Jude.
Oh.
And I really had to take a leap of faith there. But I mean, St. Jude is such an iconic mission. They
Yeah.
do such amazing work. And I think I knew I would learn a lot from even that 6 month. If it was just a 6-month contract, I was like, I will learn so much in this role. I think it'll open doors for me.
Yeah.
And it's a top nonprofit in the country, in the world. I'm going to learn from some of the biggest industry leaders here. So it was almost an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Sure.
And luckily, they did hire me after my contract ended. And that was such a shift because they operate so different. They operate almost like a corporation, the way that they handle like their branding and some of those areas. And so, but I do think there are still a lot of similarities in healthcare and higher education systems. But I definitely learned a lot. I got to be really strategic, I think. And I also got to see kind of how the corporate fundraising side of the coin works. So that was such a right place, right time, good opportunity. And then my transition to Make-A-Wish America, I actually found it through my professional network, my board. So I sit, like I said, as the treasurer of the Rocky Mountain board, which I do have to plug. We're an incredible organization. We throw in-person events, webinars. If you're interested, please reach out to me or visit our website.
Yes.
But someone I really respect on our board had this role, and he got an opportunity at another organization, and we had worked together for the past few years and on the board, and he said, I'm leaving this position. The organization is incredible. I cannot say enough good things about the team, about the leadership. If anyone on the board is interested in this role, I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Wow.
And yeah, I just hearing how highly he spoke of Make-A-Wish, and it was a really natural next step in my career, I think, as well. I was like, let me just ask him about it. I had no intention of leaving St. Jude. I really loved my role and my team there, but it seemed like an opportunity I had to explore.
Yeah.
And so I talked to him. He gave me really invaluable insight. And then I met with the leadership at Make-A-Wish America, and I was like, these people seem so great. I would have a real opportunity to flex some of those things that I've learned in the different sectors. And it has lived up to every expectation. I have really enjoyed my time here already, and appreciate all of those people that have supported my journey as well. And I think reflecting on that and looking back, the common thread is that I have really had people in my corner, and I've had people willing to advocate for me, and I have leaned on my network to create those opportunities for myself, and I'm really grateful that I have. But I've learned so much about donor behaviors and philanthropy trends and how those differ from each sector.
I can imagine, yes. And
Yeah.
that is such a benefit for you in your day-to-day work, and also for your career yet to come, to have that
Yes.
broad
Yeah.
expertise. You've dealt with HIPAA, you've dealt with kind of
Right.
corporate lens of philanthropy. So I'm excited to see how your career progresses, Megan, because it's such a robust and broad set of experiences.
Thank you.
And also, as you mentioned, having people who advocate, having people in your corner, that is so
Yeah.
important as well.
Yeah, and that stuff doesn't happen, I think, by accident. I always encourage people that I meet to join their local board or to join the National Apra community, because I mean, my experience with people in our field is that we want to help each other out, and we want to be those resources for each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So speaking of Make-A-Wish America, Megan, I'm just curious if you could share a little bit about your current role and responsibilities there. Then we'll get into the third question.
Yeah, so I help lead the revenue strategy on the prospect research and prospect management, data management side of things. I am on a mighty team of two. We lead so Make-A-Wish America is a federated model. I work at the national office, which is we are the kind of leaders of strategy with Make-A-Wish America's foundation, but there are over 50 chapters of Make-A-Wish America, which are their own 501c3s. They have their own CEOs, they have their own fundraising team. Luckily, we all are in one database, which makes things really helpful from a strategy perspective. But I help with, major gift fundraising strategy. I work with our corporate team, and I also try to be a resource for our chapters and their fundraising strategies.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Speaking again, this is now the third question about Make-A-Wish. A few months ago, you reposted a LinkedIn post from your Make-A-Wish coworker, Jono Smith, that quotes setting intentional expectations and guardrails around how Make-A-Wish America scales the use of artificial intelligence. And
Yep.
when I saw that, I thought it was really interesting to learn more about that. So without breaking any internal confidences or things of that nature, what might you be able to share about what those parameters to scale the use of AI look like?
Yeah, absolutely. That was really interesting. It was a workshop that our leadership, so our C-suite was in it, our technology leaders,
Mhm.
our fundraising leaders were in it. It was also, I think, 2 months after I had started Make-A-Wish. And so I was relatively new and I was learning their systems. I was really impressed by the leadership's intention to sit down. It was, I think, 24 hours of workshop to talk
Wow.
about our
Mhm.
AI philosophy and set those guiding principles and those, like you said, guardrails around new technology.
Yes.
So I I don't know how much I can share about it, but I can say like the
Yeah.
key message that resonated with me that I gathered from those sessions was that our organization doesn't want to slow down AI adoption, but it wants to be really intentional about how we scale it. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of organizations are facing right now.
Yes.
Something, I think, a phrase that stuck out to me was careful but bold adoption, which
Oh.
is, yeah, a theme that I think we covered. That AI, it really, yeah, it can be just layered on top of current processes to make things more efficient. But I do think we have an opportunity to be really thoughtful and rethink how we do things to maybe get better outcomes, to learn to serve our base better.
Mm.
And when I think about that, I think kind of three avenues. We really need to define our use cases. Like, why are we using AI in this specific way? What is the outcome of it? And are we focusing in the right place? And I think that also leads to the second avenue. There's data stewardship.
Oh.
We are entrusted with incredibly sensitive data, and Make a Wish America was awarded second most trusted brand in
Whoa.
the country, right? Actually,
Awesome.
right after St. Jude. Um, but we, like I said, we're entrusted with sensitive data, and we don't want to do anything that breaks that trust with not only our donors, but our patients, our wish family. That is really important that we determine what can and can't be used within the system.
Mhm.
And then I think we're really clear that we don't want to lose human oversight on any of this or human judgment. I think that AI can support decision making, but it takes a human to validate the information, to use critical thinking, and to ask the right questions to make sure we're making those sound decisions. And then when I think about prospect development specifically, I think we're in such a unique position
Mm.
because we are at the intersection, I think, of data and research as well as the strategy and frontline fundraising. Like, we connect those two. And so I think that our roles are important when it comes to those guardrails because we can make our work more efficient and we can use it to you know create data enrichment, to
Mm.
improve analysis, to
Yeah.
make research more efficient. But And I think that can help us be stronger strategy partners. I think that opens the door there. And I think, and what I've really gathered from those sessions and that dedicated time was that the organizations that are going to be the most successful with this technology are not the ones that have the most expensive the technology or who use it the most, but who invest in their people.
Yeah.
So they know how to interpret the information, they know how to ask the right questions, and they can actually turn those insights into action.
That was such a thoughtful response, Megan. I think it's it's really indicative of where I think other people are getting to in the
Yeah,
nonprofit
right.
world. Because I think at the beginning, AI came on so quickly, kind of across the economy and personal lives as well, and then the innovations happen repeatedly, very quickly.
Right.
And I think for a lot of nonprofits, which typically operate, pretty lean, it was, what does this mean for our operations? What does it mean for
Yeah,
our people? How do we keep
absolutely.
up? And I think there's now maybe a growing sense of just what you're talking about. Like, we need some more parameters and we cannot lose sight of the human element.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not all incredible bells and whistles and you plug in a name and boom, it's everything you want to know about a
Everything.
prospect.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's great to hear that Make-A-Wish America is thinking so strategically about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to get to the fourth question, and I think as I have these interviews, oftentimes I'm listening in for ways to bridge a response to a follow-up question. And so this question ties in a lot with what you mentioned a few moments ago, Megan, about having people in your corner and people that advocate for you. I'm
Right.
just curious, in your prospect development journey, um, who may be some of the people that have demonstrated characteristics that you admire? What are those characteristics, and how have you tried to incorporate those into your work as you've grown in responsibility at various shops?
Yeah, I really appreciate the time that to like reflect on all the people that have led me to where I am now. I when I think about people that inspire me, that I try to emulate in my work philosophy, I think about my managers. I have been so lucky, and I
Mm,
don't know if this is just the industry we're in, but I have had every manager I have had has been so supportive,
mm,
has listened to me talk about my career and my like where I want to go, and has challenged me and provided me with opportunities to
wonderful.
do just that.
Yeah.
And I'm a manager now. I want to make sure that I am doing the exact same thing, that I am creating that space and those opportunities for others. And I'm even grateful that they have they have supported me, even if that meant leaving their organization or if that meant
Mhm.
taking an opportunity that was the right next step in my career, but meant that I would no longer be working for them. I think that I'm so grateful for that support. And I know I could go to them right now and ask them for guidance or for advice.
Yeah.
So that is definitely that is the type of leader that I want to be.
Yes.
And then it also makes me think about my network, my professional network,
Mm,
specifically, like I said, Apra Rocky Mountains. They are so wonderful. The board is dedicated on creating meaningful content and connections for our membership base. And like I said, like somebody opened a huge door for me at Make-A-Wish America and created that space. And I also know I can go to that network if I have a technical question or if there's a vendor that I'm considering using, like they'll give me the
oh yeah.
information that I need to make the most sound judgment. And so I think both of those groups, definitely those qualities I want to make sure that I'm emulating. And I hope as I grow in my career that I can open doors for people and create those opportunities in the ways that they have done for me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing those reflections, Megan.
Yeah.
For our last question, at least on paper, it's kind of a long one. It's a long quote, at least. Um, but you're someone that's worked, correct me if I'm wrong, please, fully remote for a few years.
6 years. Yep.
6 years.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Um, and so as I put together today's questionnaire, I looked for, tie-ins to your career and so forth. And this insight, this opinion piece came up. It's from Charlie Wartzel, who is the co-author of publication Out of Office, The Big Problem and Bigger Promise of Working from Home. And snippets of that were included in a New York Times op-ed by Jessica Gross, who writes a lot about spirituality, family life, women in the workforce for the New York Times. So Jessica was using Charlie's argument, and what he was thinking is that many workers today may be even better connected with bosses and employees in a flexible work environment. And quote, distributed work introduces friction for managers, and they have to learn how to manage people as people and not manage through or by proximity, being in an office. So end quote there. How would you say this better connected argument has been indicated in your career, reflected in your career so far?
Yeah. Uh, to start, I love working remotely. It would take a lot for me to consider trading that in, but I
Yeah.
am of two minds when it comes to connection. I definitely don't think that remote work automatically creates stronger connections,
Mhm.
but I think that you can get the same level of connection with intentionality.
Yes.
Yeah, I found that my relationships, they absolutely develop virtually if I'm dedicating time and energy to them. I think that with people that I have regular meetings with once a week, a couple times a month, that those connections are pretty natural and they feel natural, but I think it takes effort from both parties. Um, and I also think that it's really about like frequency and
Mhm.
again that the the effort to like ask about someone's day and about their personal life, sometimes that can get lost, I think, in a Zoom or virtual setting. And so making sure that I am doing those things in those meetings so that it feels natural and that we can create connection that way.
Mhm.
And then I have loved actually both Make a Wish America and St. Jude. They're they bring everyone in their organization together annually for an in-person conference. It's usually 2 to 3 days, but they have speakers talk to us, they have team bonding opportunities,
Mhm.
they have patients, wish families, doctors come and tell us about the work that they have experienced or that they're doing. And I think that not only creates a better connection with the mission and what we're
Sure.
doing, but also I have found that within those 2 to 3 days, I can build so much more relationship capital than maybe 6 months of sporadic meetings. But
Oh,
then when I meet with them again post conference, we have that connection now and we have that ground and it's a lot easier. So I do think there is an in person element that is needed, but I also think, and I have appreciated my team now. We have a monthly, we call it team fun time, and it's 30 minutes. It's with our team. We don't talk about work. We do funny icebreakers or we talk about what's going on in our lives personally.
mm,
And so I think, like I said, like it takes intentionality to build those
yes.
connections. But if you as a leader or you as a team member are dedicated to that, I think that you could build just as strong of connections.
That's wonderful. I really admire the intentionality piece
Right.
that you talk about. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, really cool. Well, Megan, it's been so delightful to talk with you today. It's been a great, warm conversation, and you're doing amazing things with Make-A-Wish and with Apra Rocky Mountains. And
Thank
I'm happy
you.
to be in your orbit and cheer you on for what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I had such a great time. I'm so honored to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this stuff.
Absolutely. My pleasure to have you today. And I look forward to seeing you at the annual APRA Prospect Development
Yes.
Conference in Chicago
Same
in
here.
August. So just about 2 months from today. So
Yeah. No, I'm pumped. I always have a great time at those conferences.
likewise, yes. I think the last time I saw you was at PD in Seattle.
Seattle, yep.
2 years ago.
I
Yeah.
think I ran into you on the street randomly, like
Yes,
after the conference, walking somewhere.
that is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so I'll see you in 2 months and maybe we'll
Yes.
run into each other on the sidewalk again or at the conference itself.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Well, thank you, Megan, again for your time, and thank you to our audience for your support. We're nearing 200 episodes and people in fundraising. Thank you. And you'll be able to find Megan Tice's conversation later this summer on LinkedIn, which will have the links to my website, which is generously supported by my 100th guest, Luis Diaz of WISE, WIZE, and the Donor Participation Project. The website is at peopleinfundraising.wordifysites.com, as well as YouTube and Spotify Podbean. So thank you all for tuning in. And Megan, have a great rest of your day and your weekend.
Thank you so much, Tim. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.